Most business dashboards are built with enormous enthusiasm and then never looked at again. They end up crammed with every chart the tool could produce, impressive to build and useless to read, and within a month they are just another tab you never open. A dashboard you do not read is worse than no dashboard, because it gives the comforting illusion of being on top of your numbers. Today, I want to walk through how a one-person business can build a dashboard it will actually use week after week without drowning in charts nobody needs. I have built the bloated kind and the useful kind, and the difference is almost entirely about restraint. The temptation is to show everything, because everything is available and each metric feels important. But a dashboard is not a museum of your data. It is a tool for making decisions, and the tool with 50 functions is a tool you cannot use. So this is less about which software to pick, and more about the discipline of choosing what earns a place on the screen and what does not. What a dashboard is for. Before building anything, get clear on the purpose, because a dashboard has exactly one. It exists to answer, at a glance, how is my business doing, and is anything wrong that needs my attention? That is it. It is not for exploring data, not for deep analysis, not for impressing anyone. It is the instrument panel you glance at while driving, telling you speed and fuel and whether a warning light is on. Anything that does not serve that glance and no purpose is clutter, no matter how interesting the chart behind it happens to be. Start with the decisions. The right way to build one is backward, from decisions rather than from data. Do not ask what can I measure. Ask what decisions do I make regularly and what would I need to see to make them better. If you decide weekly whether to spend more on ads, you need to see acquisition cost and payback. If you worry about customers leaving, you need churn and activations. Let the decisions you actually face pull the metrics onto the dashboard, and everything you would never act on stays off it, however easy it would be to display. Fewer numbers, chosen well. The hardest discipline is keeping it small. A good one-person dashboard has a handful of numbers, not dozens, because you can genuinely hold and reason about a handful, and you cannot with 50. Every metric you add dilutes the attention on the ones that matter, until the important signal drowns in a sea of the merely available. I aim for something like 5 to 8 core numbers total. If a metric would not change a decision this week, it does not belong on the main view, and cutting it is a feature, not a loss. The metrics that usually matter, for most small recurring businesses, a short list covers it. Revenue and its trend, new customers and acquisition cost, churn or retention, activation for new signups, cash in the bank, or runway, because that is survival. Maybe your one North Star metric on top. That is already a rich, honest picture, and it fits on one screen without scrolling. Your exact list will differ, but the shape is the same. A few numbers spanning money in, money out, customers gained, customers kept, and the cushion that keeps you alive. Show trends, not just totals. A single number is nearly meaningless without its direction. Revenue of 10,000 this month tells you almost nothing, but 10,000 up from 8 last month or down from 13 tells you everything. So show each key metric with its trend, a small line or a comparison to the previous period, not just today's total. The human eye reads direction instantly, and direction is usually what drives the decision. A dashboard of bare totals with no trend is a dashboard that makes you do the comparison in your head every time, which means you soon stop. Context makes a number readable. Alongside trend, a number needs a reference point to be readable at a glance. Is this churn rate good or bad? Compared to what? Give each metric a comparison, last period, a target you set, or a simple threshold, so you know instantly whether to relax or worry. A number floating alone forces you to remember whether it is healthy, and you will not. A number next to its target or its history answers the good or bad question for you, which is the entire job of a dashboard, to turn raw figures into an instant read. Use color sparingly and with meaning. Color is powerful precisely because it is instant, so spend it carefully. Reserve it to signal attention, a metric that has crossed into trouble, and leave everything that is fine in calm, neutral tones. A dashboard splashed with color everywhere signals nothing, because when everything is highlighted, nothing stands out. The goal is that a healthy dashboard looks quiet, and the 1 week something is wrong, your eye is pulled straight to it. Color should mean look here. And it can only mean that if most of the dashboard is not shouting. Make it effortless to refresh. The fastest way to kill a dashboard is to make updating it a chore. If refreshing the numbers means an hour of manual copying every week, you will do it twice and then stop. Connect it to your real data sources so it updates on its own, or at worst, make the refresh a single quick action. The whole value comes from looking at it consistently, and consistency dies the moment updating becomes work. A slightly less perfect dashboard that updates itself beats a beautiful one that depends on your discipline to stay current. Seperti yang pikir, a dashboard only works if looking at it becomes a habit, so attach it to a fixed rhythm. A set time each week where you glance at it, read the trends and note anything that needs action. The rhythm matters more than the tool, because the insight comes from watching numbers move over time, not from any single snapshot. I tie mine to a specific morning so it happens without deciding to. Without a rhythm, even a perfect dashboard becomes something you check in a panic once a quarter, which is far too late. The professor of separate the glance from the dig. Keep two things apart in your head. The dashboard is for the glance, the weekly is anything wrong check. When something on it looks off, that is the trigger to go dig, to open the detailed data and investigate, which is a separate activity with separate tools. Do not try to make the dashboard do both, because a dashboard that also tries to be an analysis tool becomes cluttered and serves neither. The glance points at the problem and the dig figures out what it is. One surface for each job. Start simple and let it earn additions. Resist building the perfect dashboard on day one. Start with 3 or 4 numbers you know you care about. Live with it for a few weeks and only add a metric when you genuinely feel its absence, when you keep wishing you could see something. A dashboard that grows from real need stays lean and useful, while one designed all at once tends toward bloat. Let every addition earn its place by proving you actually missed it. Subtraction is just as valid, and pruning a metric you never act on keeps the whole thing sharp. What a dashboard cannot do. The honest limit. A dashboard tells you what is happening and whether to pay attention. It does not tell you why, and it cannot make the decision for you. It is a smoke detector, not a firefighter. Its whole value is surfacing the right small set of signals so nothing important slips past you unnoticed. It points you toward the questions worth asking, but answering them still takes digging and judgment. A dashboard that promises to run your business for you is overselling, and a good one is content just to make sure you never miss the thing that matters. Beware the vanity dashboard. The most common failure mode is a dashboard built to feel impressive rather than to be useful. Rows of big numbers that only ever go up. Total signups, total page views, all of them flattering and none of them actionable. A dashboard full of numbers that can only rise is a comfort blanket, not an instrument, because nothing on it will ever tell you to change course. The test for every metric is whether it could deliver bad news that changes a decision. If a number can only make you feel good, it is decoration, and decoration belongs somewhere other than your instrument panel. One screen, no scrolling. Hold yourself to a hard constraint. The whole dashboard fits on one screen with no scrolling. The moment you have to scroll, you have stopped glancing and started browsing, and the at-a-glance value is gone. The constraint is a feature, because it forces the ruthless prioritization that makes a dashboard useful. If a new metric earns a place, something else has to leave to make room. That pressure keeps the dashboard honest and lean, and it stops the slow creep toward the 50-chart monster nobody reads. One screen is the discipline that protects the whole idea. Underneath what happened, a dashboard becomes far more valuable when you note what caused the big moves. A spike in signups next to a small note saying launched on a podcast turns a mysterious bump into a lesson. Without the annotation, you stare at an old spike months later with no idea what drove it, and the information is simply lost. A simple habit of jotting a line whenever something unusual happens builds, over time, a narrated history of your business that raw charts alone can never give you. The numbers show what happened, and your notes preserve the why. Review it with a question. When you sit down with your dashboard, do not just look, arrive with the question. Is anything trending the wrong way? Did last week's change move the number I expected? Is my runway still comfortable? A dashboard which passively washes over you and leaves nothing behind. A dashboard interrogated with a specific question actually informs a decision. The numbers are the same either way, and the difference is entirely in how you approach them. A few minutes of pointed questioning each week extracts more value than an hour of vague staring ever will. Where to go deeper? The fuller guide with a suggested metric set and layout for a one-person business lives at dataresearchanalysiscollection.com in plain English. I keep it honest there for the same reason I do here, because the most common dashboard mistake is showing everything and reading nothing. Choose from your decisions, keep it to a handful of numbers with trends and context, make it refresh itself, and tie it to a weekly rhythm, and you will build the rare dashboard you actually open. So to recap, a dashboard exists for one job: to tell you at a glance how the business is doing and whether anything needs attention. So build it backward from the decisions you actually make. Keep it to a handful of numbers, show trends and comparisons rather than bare totals. Use color only to flag trouble, and make it refresh itself so the habit survives. Separate the weekly glance from the deeper dig, and let the dashboard grow only when you genuinely miss a metric. Next time, I want to look at the AI tools that actually help a solo founder work with data in 2026. I will see you in the next one.